So, Saurabh sir, what was your first take after looking at the paper, after going through it very thoroughly, and also preparing the key for those questions?
Actually, the answer is very difficult. First,
Okay,
okay, because it differs on individual basis.
okay,
Since we
sir.
are teaching history, so obviously our first impression will be the paper will appear easy for us. But just I am answering this question from students' point of view. The students who are appearing in examination hall and are facing this paper, okay, in context of overall paper. So this paper level is moderate to difficult. Okay, I can keep this in this category because there are different category of students. So if we try to find the answer of these questions
Hmm.
on the basis of our knowledge, right,
Hmm.
that if you are trying to find the answer on the basis of your knowledge, accurate knowledge which you have, so in this situation the paper will become difficult.
Okay, sir.
But if you have an average knowledge, if you have a good command over PYQs, and if you are applying your knowledge
Yes,
to
sir.
these particular questions, the same question will appear moderate to you. Okay, so this is the overall my opinion about this paper.
So, Gajanan sir, what are your views on the questions?
So I first would completely agree with Saurabh sir that if a student is solving this in exam hall, certainly it is like moderate to difficult level of paper. But certainly we have to be careful that there are some very meaty portions of syllabus from where UPSC has always been asking questions. Like one such part is philosophy.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you talk about the question which had been asked on the philosophical side of Brahmanical system, that is Upanishads. They have asked the
Yes,
question
sir.
on
Yes, sir.
Upanishad. Certainly, we have to know that Upanishads came when there was a reaction against the growing rituals
Yes, sir.
in Vedic religion. So, some philosophical parts, like you talk about Upanishads, Buddhism, Jainism, that is always very favorite for UPSC. UPSC had asked the question from there. Then they're trying to ask that basic nature of like Upanishads, and they're asking that whether there are any parables in Upanishads or not. It's very interesting that UPSC in previous year questions, as Saurabh sir has said,
Yes,
previous
sir.
year question and importance of that, has already asked a question on Kathopanishad, where we have the story of Yam and Nachiketa.
Yes, sir.
It is very interesting. Such parables or the stories which would give you moral, no, which will give you philosophical idea. It's always been part of Upanishadic thought, and that is what they have asked. Now, the second statement of the same question says that Upanishads, they were composed earlier than the Puranas. It is also completely true because Upanishads are called
Yes,
Vedanta
sir.
because they were composed by the end of the Vedic time. That is why they were called Vedanta. But when you talk about Puranas, we get the final compilation of the Puranas by the end of Gupta time period, like Vayu Puran, Vishnu Puran, Shiv Puran, Matsya Puran, and all of them. So it's very easy again to figure out that the Puranas were compiled later than Upanishads.
Yes, sir.
Now, all this has been given in like R.S. Sharma, old NCRT, or the new NCRT as well. I would say this is basic, but then some application of the logic, as Saurabh sir has said, it's completely true. When you apply the logic, rather than just depending upon knowledge, certainly logic would help you a lot in solving such questions.
Yes, sir. That's true. Now, let's begin with discussing each and every question and how we will arrive at the solution.
Exactly.
So, Saurabh sir, let's begin with question number 3.
Okay, Sanju, first, while answering this question, okay,
Yes,
I
sir.
will focus on the smart skill. That is the most needed thing in a UPSC exam today.
Yes,
So
sir.
here, the question is consider the following pairs. On one side, you will find the party names, and the other side, you will find its leader's name. And there are four parties mentioned here: Bharatiya Janata Sangh, Socialist Party, Congress for Democracy, and Swatantrata Party. On the other side, we see its leader, that is Dr. Syama Prasad Mukherjee, Rajgopalachari, Jagjivan Ram, and Acharya Narendra Dev.
Yes, sir.
And the question is how many of the above are correctly matched, and there are four choices with us. Okay, now how a smart application of knowledge can be applied here. So I think that the student should first mark those informations with which he is familiar with or she is familiar with, and I think that all the students are familiar with this name, Bharatiya Jana Sangh.
Yes, sir.
All the students are familiar with this party's name, Socialist Party, because
Yes,
this is
sir.
one of the most important topic in modern Indian history. I may accept that some of the students who have not studied post-independence in detail, they might not be familiar with Congress for Democracy or Swatantrata Party. Those who have
sir.
not studied post-independence in detail. Now, if you have not studied post-independence in detail at all, but how can you solve this question? This is also very interesting. Look at the options: Syama Prasad Mukherjee, Rajgopalachari, Jagjivan Ram, and Acharya Narendra Dev.
Dev.
Syama Prasad Mukherjee.
Bharat,
It's very common. He is related to which party?
Bharatiya
Bharatiya Janasangh. It means one. It means one is correctly matched,
Yes,
right?
sir. Huh.
One is correctly matched. Now, we all know Acharya Narendra Dev. He is a very famous name in the development history of socialism in India. So, Acharya Narendra Dev definitely is related to Socialist Party. So, on this basis, we can eliminate two options here. It means we are familiar with Acharya Narendra Dev and we are eliminating 2 and 4.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you will eliminate 2, if you will eliminate 4, so only one option is remaining, that is option number 3, right? It
Yes,
means
sir.
2 you have successfully eliminated,
Yes, sir.
that is you have eliminated choice number 2, you have eliminated this 4. Okay, Socialist Party
Huh.
Rajgopalachari incorrect, Swatantrata Party Acharya Narendra Dev incorrect. It means 2 are incorrect. Now look at the options. What is saying? Correctly matched. How many of these are correctly matched? So all 4 we can, okay, eliminate. Okay, only 3, okay, this scope is still there. No scope is there. Okay, because 2 are obviously now
Eliminated.
only 2 and only 1, there are 2 things.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so look here, now we have a risk. And what is that risk? Now the student are familiar with, you have 2 choices left, A or B.
Yeah.
So what you will do in this situation? So this is UPSC. Here you will have to take risk if you are an average student. If you have eliminated 2,
Yes,
so
sir.
in the remaining 2 you can take risk. It means that in this situation you are going to attempt this question.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. So this is the most important thing. And if you are in a position that you are in a position to eliminate 2 options and remaining 2, okay, so you must attempt this question. So this is what I say, that the student is near to success, right? Now it comes the role of the information. Okay, so the first is clear. Syama Prasad Mukherjee. Congress for Democracy, it was set up by, okay, Jagjivan Ram in the year 1977,
Yes,
right?
sir.
This is the information. And the second, Swatantrata Party, right? It was established by Rajgopalachari.
Rajgopal.
And in which conditions Rajgopalachari established? In post-independence era, when we study, we find that Jawaharlal Nehru's, okay, policies were more oriented towards socialism. And in independence movement also, he called himself as a socialist leader. Okay, and various policy measures were being taken, and Rajgopalachari was not comfortable with it. Okay, so in opposition of those policies, he came with the foundation of this party, right? Okay, so this party, Swatantrata Party, is established by Rajgopalachari.
Yes.
Okay, this is the most important. When we say that red tapeism, license Raj, all these words has been discovered or coined by Rajgopalachari himself while
Okay.
opposing the policies of Jawaharlal Nehru.
Nehru.
Okay, so in this question the conclusion is that, okay, lastly, all students, okay, all students, we are saying that all students are in a condition to reach at least elimination 2 options. You can easily eliminate. Okay, and in the remaining 2 you can make choice. It depends on your smart skill, something depends on your luck also. Okay, so if you are familiar with the post independence development, so you can mark this question. Okay, not then also you can mark this question, and the probability will be 50-50. So
Yes,
the
sir.
answer for this question will be B.
B.
It is series D, question number 3, and the answer will be B. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Now I have a question, Sanju.
Yes, sir.
The question is that when we talk about this question, that it is asking about who was the provincial president of the Constituent Assembly before Dr. Rajendra Prasad. It is looking like easy question, but what is your take over this question? Why the question could be there? What is the perfect way of solving that?
So my take on this question is, because I have read this in a book, Spectrum. So first I look when I looked at this question and I felt it, I have read it somewhere, and he's like all the personalities mentioned are very important, but it's very clearly mentioned in our book, in our source, in our traditional sources. So I guess it is a very easy question. It is a very factual question. It's clearly written in the Spectrum, and those students who have went through Spectrum very
Any standard
thoroughly,
source, basically.
they have revised it, they know the names. It's very easy to conclude that answer D is the correct answer.
So the right thing is that we should not miss this question. This is easy,
Easy.
neatest part of the paper. Second thing is that, look, when the Constituent Assembly were formed,
Yes, sir.
and actually the meetings of Constituent Assembly would be like take place, there should be one president to preside over that. But even when we have to pick that president, elect that president,
Yes, sir.
there would be a meeting to elect that president as well. So even to elect the permanent president, there should be a meeting and there should be a chairman to preside over that.
Yes, sir.
That is why there was need of a chairman even before that. And that is why Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, the most experienced leader there,
Yes, sir.
then he was elected as the chairman that time. And later, Dr. Rajendra Prasad took over as the permanent chairman. Then, if you talk about question number 11, just next question, that
Yes,
if you
sir.
see, that is again a question on the Government of India Act 1935.
Yes, sir.
Constitutional development. Sanju, it is looking like it is like one of the most favorite parts from where UPSC is asking question is constitutional development.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about this question?
So I found that question actually easy. I have went through the provisions of these acts. So all those students who have read thoroughly the provisions of Government of India Act 1935, and I feel UPSC always asks question on any of the act Britishers have formed, and the statements mentioned here, question number, like statement 1, it's asking about federation, and then statement number 2 is asking about defense and foreign affairs were given to the federal legislature. But we also know this act created a deadlock, and that's why it could not come into the implementation phase. So we know it's mentioned in books, in our traditional sources, and students must have read them in our class notes as well, that this act, Government of India Act, provided for All India Federation, and of All India Federation, that should be a union of provinces, British provinces, and the Indian states, princely states.
True it is.
This is true. This is a correct statement. But
Federation of princely states and provinces.
yeah,
Yes.
but what was the issue with this? What was the issue with this provision? It could not be implemented. Why? Because the
True.
princes, they could not. They did not
Princely
agree.
state, they did not agree.
Did not agree. So we know that statement 1 is correct. Statement 2 is not correct. Why? Because defense and the external affairs were given directly to the Governor General, and this was a main issue where Congress was not ready to agree to accept the provisions. So we know that
Yes, it was
option
one
is
of the
the correct
major
answer.
things that was objected by Congress.
Yeah.
True, Sanju. And it's very interesting to know that Jawaharlal Nehru was so angry with the provisions like this, where
Yeah.
the legislature was kept very weak, that he called this Government of India Act 1935 as a car with all the brakes and no engine.
Yes, sir.
No? And when we talk about this Government of India Act 1935, why the students should consider this as a meaty part of the syllabus, because the Constitution of India heavily relies on the provisions inherited from the Government of India Act 1935.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, we have to compare the Government of India Act 1935 and the Constitution of India.
Yes,
What
sir.
are the improvements, where we have inherited it, no, where we have changed it. More than that, constitutional development is looking like a very favorite part of UPSC. Almost every single year they are asking questions from the parts like constitutional development.
Yes, sir.
It is one good example. It's easy to moderate question. In fact, very application based. Even 11th standard NCERT, if a person is reading very well, like that book Constitution at work, Compass of Rouse, the NCERT, old NCERT, new NCERT class, कहीं पर भी अगर आपने बस सुन लिया हो, you would be able to solve this question. Very interesting question and very scoring,
Yes,
I
sir.
would say.
One thing I would like to add here, sir.
Yes.
Question number 11 and 12.
Yes, sir.
Question number 11 and 11 is the most popular question. Not only in UPSC, you will find this question in SSC, state PCS exam.
So
It
many
means
exams.
have been asked hundreds of times. Okay. So if you are making this question wrong choices in this question, so that will be disaster for you. Okay. So this is a very simple question.
Yes, sir.
And again, like Sanju discussed, question number 12 about Government of India Act.
Yes, sir.
The first statement here, the first provision for the establishment of All India Federation. It is also one of the most popular fact. Again, I will keep this question in the same category. Easy, right, sir? Okay. But the second statement here, defense and foreign affairs were kept under the control of federal legislature. Now, just let's think about from the student's perspective. Okay. So now what happens in examination? Student generally thinks that which matters were kept were defense, foreign affairs, कहाँ रखा?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they will start thinking like this कि अपने knowledge box में जाके ढूंढे, right? They
Yes.
will start deep diving in the ocean of the knowledge. But I think that whenever you find such type of statements, okay, so you should connect the things to the later development. For example, there is Act in 1935. Recently, what happened? 1937 elections, 1939, Second World War started, and Second World War started, and Congress ministries resigned. On what basis? Because the Governor General okay, or the British government has not asked the ministry
हाँ जी.
that, okay, we are announcing that India is a participant of Second World War. Why they have not seek the approval of Indian ministries? Because defense,
Hmm.
foreign affairs was not with Congress ministries,
Yes.
right? It was with Governor General, and this was the main issue
जी.
in Linlithgow when Linlithgow offer was rejected also, because Congress ministries were demanding like these things, na? Okay, that how you can decide the fate of a nation by just, okay,
Yes, sir.
making such important announcement without seeking the approval of the Indians. So in this way we can connect the themes in the examination hall, that the question related to 1935 act. So what happened after that, and we can make a smart guess, okay,
Yes, sir.
and that will be, you can say that, lifesaver for us student aspirant, okay. So that you must do in every exam, okay. Whatever you have studied, be okay with it,
Yes, sir.
okay. Whatever
sir.
the book you have studied, be okay with it. But lastly, what you have to do, you have to, okay,
Linkage.
do some application, and the linkages, that is the most required thing and
Yes, sir.
essential thing, okay.
Yes, sir. So, Gajanan sir, coming to next question. The question says, with reference to revenue collection by Cornwallis, consider the following statements. Now, please guide us how we will solve this question.
First of all, Sanju and Saurabh sir, that we have to understand here that economic policies of the British government here in India, it is one of the most favorite parts of UPSC again.
Yes, sir.
Above all, the British were there in India to economically exploit us. The colonies are always established for the economic exploitation for the metropolis or the mother country. That was the policy. So the British brought so many revenue policies, like you talk about permanent settlement, Rayatwari settlement, Mahalwari settlement. They are super important parts. Plus, during the time of Governor General's administrative policies, if we try to discuss, the time of Cornwallis was super important. He's considered the creator of like the superstructure of the British rule here in India. No? So when you talk about Cornwallis, he brought the permanent settlement. Now, when you just see the question is asking about Cornwallis. And the first statement itself is asking about Rayatwari settlement.
Yes, sir.
So it's general logic. No, as Saurabh sir said that more than knowledge, you should rely upon your logic. That Rayatwari settlement certainly was not in times of Cornwallis. It came much later.
Yes, sir.
It came much later. Anyway, the first statement would go wrong. Then the question is asking that whether the peasants they were given any relaxation or exemption
Yes,
if
sir.
there would be crop failure due to any reason. In Rayatwari settlement, which was mainly applied in South in the Bombay and Madras like presidencies,
Yes, sir.
the direct revenue settlement was there with the Rayats. But then when there were no intermediaries like Zamindars, the British kept the revenue demand very high, first demerit. Second, they kept very fixed deadlines for payment of the revenue. And certainly, if there would be a crop failure, no exemption would be given to the Rayats. That was a major disastrous provision of the Rayatwari settlement.
Okay, sir.
So the first statement would go wrong.
Yes, sir.
Then the second statement says that under the permanent settlement in Bengal, if the zamindars fail to pay the revenue in time, their zamindari would be confiscated. Now this statement is correct. Look, the permanent settlement was also called zamindari settlement because it was through the zamindars.
Yes, sir.
So the zamindars, they were considered proprietors of the land. That was not the case, basically. Because zamindars were always the intermediaries. So
Yes,
British
sir.
they changed the proprietorship right here in India to make the revenue system more convenient for them.
Yes, sir.
So the zamindars they got advantage in this regard. It was also called permanent settlement because the revenue demand was fixed in permanent manner.
Yes, sir.
So that was another advantage for
Yes,
the
sir.
zamindars. But the flip side was there was a very strict sunset law. That by a fixed date, by the sunset, if the zamindars they fail to pay the revenue in time, their zamindari would be confiscated and would be sold to another zamindar.
Yes, sir.
So this was the reason many of the zamindars they started losing zamindari. And in fact, this was one of the reasons that many of the old zamindar class they were losing zamindari to the new rising class of zamindars. They were angry, and later it would become a major reason of the discontent among the zamindar class in Bengal area.
Yes, sir.
So old zamindars, when there would be even revolt of 1857, they supported the rebels in Bengal like area because they were so much concerned about the rise of new zamindars who
Yes,
were
sir.
capturing their zamindaris. So the second statement looks correct. But again, as I told you that economic policies of the British, it is one of the most favorite part that UPSC has been asking the questions from. Easy to moderate. easy to moderate.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Very
NCERT,
insightful
UPSC.
discussion from the Gajanan Sir.
Yes,
And
sir.
I would like to add one more thing so that we could do a more engaging discussion. So this question, we see the revenue collection as Sir has discussed. There are two statements given. Sir has discussed this. Okay. One is Rayatwadi settlement. Now how you are going to solve this on the basis of smart skill? Again,
Hmm.
exemption from revenue payment.
Hmm.
Where the British are giving us exemption. Their main
Very. Yes,
you
sir.
can say that focus was to exploit more and more,
And
Huh.
and that's why there was a non-uniform system of revenue of administration in India. So exemption from revenue payment it is a most surprising thing. So you must highlight this and eliminate this. कि why they will give exemption to the Indians? उसके लिए तो cricket खेलना पड़ेगा sir, right? लगान, okay?
Yes,
And
sir.
the second statement is this statement that like sir has discussed.
Yes, sir.
It's giving hints or indication towards the sunset laws and Cornwallis system. So this question is also, like sir said, that it can be called as easy.
Easy.
Okay, because this most one of the most popular area. Okay, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, we are coming to the next question, and it's from ancient and cultural part.
Right.
Which one of the following is a work attributed to playwright Bhasu?
Exactly. Okay, this question is very interesting. In the first site, when I am looking from the aspirant's perspective, this question will appear to be extremely difficult from aspirant's perspective. But when you believe on your smart skill,
Yes, sir.
the question will become okay, not extremely difficult, but difficult for you. Okay, moderate or difficult. It means that you can minimize the difficulty level. For example, the question is which one of the following is a work attribute to the playwright Bhas? Okay, so this again UPSC is repeating this tendency. They are asking from the literature part.
Okay.
Okay, every year.
Mm-hmm.
You must have noticed earlier also. They have asked
Yes,
who was
sir.
the playwright, the important books, and all this. Clear? So this is again from the literature part.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So if you are not familiar with Bhas, it's okay. First read the options or the choices that are given here. What are the options or the choices? Kavya Alankar, Natya Shastra, Madhyama, है ना?
Yes.
Madhyama, Vyayog, and
Yes, sir.
Mahabhasya.
Mahabhash.
Now, out of these four choices, two are the most popular. Again, I am saying 50-50. Okay, that is the key to success in UPSC Prelims.
Yes, sir.
Which two are the most popular? Natya Shastra by Bharat Muni.
Hmm.
When you read the applied part of art and culture, okay, you will find that in case of dance, in case of music, in case of theatre, in case of puppetry,
Yes, sir.
all earliest references are found in Bharat Muni's
Natya
Natya Shastra. Okay,
Hmm.
and in this way we can also trace the origin of these cultural forms from ancient India.
Yes, sir.
Okay, from this book. So this book is very important in that context, and it has appeared at several. You can say that you can find this information at different places. This is the most popular information. And what about Mahabhasya? You already familiar with it.
Yes.
It's written by Patanjali.
Patanjali.
Okay, and it's a book on grammar.
Grammar.
Okay, so now we are in a position to eliminate two options. One is Natya Shastra,
Natya
and the
Shastra.
second is
Mahabhasya.
Mahabhasya. Now the two choices are left here: Kavya Alankar and Madhyama, है ना, Vyayog.
Vyayog.
Now I will frankly say that for students there are two choices and they have to make one choice. Okay. If you are not familiar with Kavya Alankar, if you are not familiar with Madhyama Vyayog, okay, then also you must attempt this question because this is UPSC. Okay, if you are successful in eliminating two, it means that you are on the right track. Okay, so now the student choice किसको चुनते हैं? But since we are discussing the answers, so I will discuss. Okay, so Kavya Alankar, the name itself suggests that. Okay, Kavya means what? Poetry. Now again you can eliminate this. Kavya Alankar. Kavya means what? Poetry.
Poetry.
And what the question is asking?
Playwright.
Playwright. Now if you eliminate this Kavya Alankar, because there is a book on poetry, if you can make a smart guess, Kavya means what? Poetry. So we have eliminated this. Now only one option is remaining. Madhyama Vyayog. And I'm damn sure that 95%, 99% students are not familiar with it. Because the source is Upinder Singh. Who reads Upinder Singh for GS? Okay. That's a
Upinder Singh is
very,
difficult
very lengthy book.
and
Okay?
mainly for
And
optional it would
UPSC
be
is
used.
asking one or two questions every year. Previously, we found this trend that they were asking one question. Now
Yes,
this
sir.
time, two. So who will read this book? So either you are going to read that book Upinder Singh or you believe on your smart skills.
Yes, sir.
So
And I believe that if a candidate can assimilate Upinder Singh in that much effort, that candidate can prepare for entire prelims. I
exactly.
suppose that because Upinder Singh is a very good book, encyclopedic in nature, but the trouble is that so many facts are there. For a GS candidate, it's nearly impossible to assimilate
Actually,
that.
Yes,
sir,
sir.
I have got this question from many people. That question asking from Upinder Singh, so should we read this? Many students also, and so
I
I
clearly
have
say
found
in
it
class
that
that you should
UPSC
not,
always gives us
unless you
scope.
are from optional
Exactly. In
GS
UPSC exam,
history.
Mm-hmm.
definitely there is a scope. There is a line of hope, ray of hope. You have to be patient. Okay, keep your mind cool. Okay, and apply on what you know. For example, Kavya Alankar. Meaning of Kavya everyone knows. Kavya and Alankar. So you are in a position to eliminate three, and if you are eliminating three, easily you are eliminating three.
Yes.
And this question, Natya Shastra and Mahabhasya, has been previously asked in UPSC
Yes,
PYQs
sir.
also. That's why in my classes also I emphasize that the students must read PYQs multiple times,
Yes,
and
sir.
they will start developing this insight, because
Mm-hmm.
this insight you cannot purchase it from the market.
Yes, sir.
This
Certainly.
you will have to read it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and can you make a smart application of knowledge here?
Yes, sir. I'm like
Is it
really
interesting
like
that you can
it's so
reach to the
interesting
answer?
to know that
Okay,
we could
even
have
if you don't know about
eliminate
Madhyama Vyayog,
hmm.
you are able to answer this question. This I want to
just
say.
by knowing the
And
meaning
this
of kavya.
exactly, right? So this is Vyayog is a particular kind of Sanskrit text, okay?
Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
And it has been written in that context. It is a work of Bhas. There are various other works of Bhas also.
Yes,
तो
sir.
भी आपको जाके रट्टा
Certainly.
मारने की जरूरत नहीं है.
Hmm.
Okay, it does
हाँ.
not mean that UPSC has asked one question on playwright of Bhas and you are remembering the other compositions of Bhas.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
उन पे तो they were well researched after a long period of time. Okay, तो उसमें जाके पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have to have faith
Yes, sir.
in yourself.
Yes, sir.
Okay, तो ऐसा नहीं कि गए और उपिंदर सिंह पढ़ने लगे. This I am repeating again
It
and
would be a
again
trap.
in my
आप
classes
फंस
also.
जाएंगे.
Yes, it's a trap. You will be trapped when you are making
And
a
more than
strategy.
that, UPSC is always putting some questions where the students would not be able to attempt that. You have to understand that, like in a UPSC pre-paper, when the cutoff is going low, you cannot expect to answer every question.
Exactly.
So for
And sir,
that, to
Yes,
read
sir.
Upinder Singh would be a trap. Rather,
Mm-hmm.
rather that much of time you can utilize to read so many other basic sources.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than trying to solve a very difficult question in history, if you solve 3 more questions of geography which are easy to moderate, it's equally marking.
Yes, sir.
There is no
Surely.
sectional and the subject wise cutoff, so better you should actually prefer to go for the basic questions from all the subjects.
Yes, sir.
That is always more preferable. और सच्ची बात यही है कि ये क्वेश्चन देखकर एक बार को मेरे होश भी उड़ गए थे. यही सत्य है.
because everything the student when he is in examination hall na, okay, so he's in immense pressure, so he's not in a position to use that smart application
Yes,
of mind.
sir.
For that you will have to be cool and confident. This is the first criteria. Okay, but unfortunately, okay, after a lot of suggestions, students think that ज़्यादा पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा. Okay,
Students, they don't trust on their knowledge, I guess.
foundation, basic foundation, whatever
they
you
they
are
have
learning,
to
from where
have
you are
this
learning,
very
okay,
trust
and
on
you
their
should
knowledge कि आप
exactly,
solve कर
exactly,
लेंगे.
right.
सर एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है. Intangible cultural heritage list of UNESCO में UNESCO World Heritage List or Intangible Cultural Heritage
हाँ
List
जी.
has been in news. Like I have read myself, इतना बार न्यूज में रहा है.
हाँ
So
जी.
definitely a question had to be asked.
It was expected that there
Sir,
would be a
please आप
question.
बताइए इसको कैसे करें.
सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि जब हम बात करते हैं इंडियन कल्चर की, तो अगेन like UPSC this year, like all the years, it has focused on the key issues, key
Yes, sir.
areas in syllabus like Indian culture, and their UNESCO is basically a very favorite part of UPSC. So this year, not 1, 2 questions they have been asked from UNESCO.
Yes, sir.
One is the intangible cultural heritage, and one more question that they have asked, like Rani Ki Bao, like Shanti Niketan, no, like the Hoysala area site, about the cultural sites categorized by UNESCO. So UNESCO, when would recognize a site or a cultural tradition in India, would become extremely important. No? And that is how they are asking the question. Now, when you talk about this question, which is there on the intangible cultural heritage list,
Yes, sir.
we have to figure out that all the 4, Chau, Durga Puja, Garba dance, and Kumbh Mela, all the 4, they are on the intangible cultural heritage list itself from India. So that becomes confusing for the students, because all of them, they are from the same list.
Yes, sir.
You have to figure out the recent inclusion. But again, when you talk about this question, I would call this question as easy to moderate. Why
Uh-huh.
I would call this question as easy to moderate? Because Garba dance recently was included into this list. It was there in every news source,
Mm-hmm.
in Focus magazine,
Mm-hmm.
in DNS.
Mm-hmm.
Every time the teachers they kept on discussing,
Yes, sir.
it's general knowledge. It's a savior.
Yes,
No,
sir.
if that question on Bhasa was a killer, this question can be categorized as a savior.
Savior.
So जब बहुत ही खतरनाक क्वेश्चन मिले और उसके बाद अचानक कोई इतना सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन मिल जाए, that can bring you back to your rhythm in the
Yes, sir.
exam, because you need such saviors.
Yes, sir.
Because अगर आपने कोई बहुत मुश्किल सवाल बनाया या कोई बहुत सिंपल सवाल बनाया, मार्क्स तो सबके बराबर है, तो सबसे
हाँ.
पहले इजी क्वेश्चन फिगर आउट करिए.
हम्म.
सबसे पहले इजी क्वेश्चन फिगर आउट करिए.
सर जब हम यूनेस्को की टॉपिक की बात कर ही रहे हैं तो
Exactly.
प्लीज
That is, yes, question number 15.
यस सर.
Seriously. Okay. So the question is, consider the following properties included in the World Heritage List released by UNESCO.
यस सर.
And again, there are four choices: Shantiniketan, Rani Ki Vav, Sacred Ensembles of the Hoysals, and Mahabodhi Temple Complex at the Bodh Gaya.
Hmm.
Right? And again, the question is what? How many of the above properties are included in 2023? Now, here the students can do silly mistakes. Some might have done it. That you will miss to read 2023.
At first instance, sir, even I forgot to read the question.
So it
that
happens in the
question.
examination hall,
Yes,
in the
sir.
pressure, because I
Yes,
am
sir.
just talking with the perspective of the kind of situation the students are facing.
Certainly.
हाँ.
So if you are in pressure, so
Mhm.
you might miss this point, that in 2023 you will find these four. You will say that okay, kitna aasan question hai. All four
Hmm.
on UNESCO World Heritage list. This might happen.
Hmm.
That mistakenly you will say
Mhm.
all four,
Mhm.
because you will not read in 2023. So what is the first important thing here? Read the question very carefully.
Hmm.
Okay. And when you will read carefully,
Mhm.
and when you have gone through our focus magazines, for example, those who are preparing for 2025,
Mhm.
so definitely they will have to do what? Okay, they will have to collect.
Hmm.
But we are collecting informations for
हाँ.
them. Okay, means 2024 June
Hmm.
to March April 2025.
Hmm.
Okay, all the developments in history, particularly in culture,
Mhm.
if there is any folk art, if there is in folk music, if there is in folk theater,
Hmm.
if there is in folk puppetry,
Mhm.
right, and tangible and intangible,
Yes,
right,
sir.
sites and all these things. Okay, so if you are frequently, okay, reading the current affairs, or if you have revised the compilation of focus multiple times,
Yes,
you will
sir.
be comfortable in this question. Shanti Niketan is the most popular topic.
Yes, sir.
And last year, not last year, this year itself,
Hmm.
okay, in mains there was a question: R.N. Tagore and Gandhi.
Hmm.
His opinion.
There's a comparison.
Okay, and we
between
have
both of
discussed
them.
that question
Yes,
also.
sir.
There also we have discussed about Shantiniketan, because we have to discuss about the ideas on education.
Yes, sir.
So without discussing Shantiniketan, this will not be complete. Okay,
Huh.
so why that question was asked? The same reason, because this topic is in discourse, that Shantiniketan is to be given this. Okay, so this
And
Shantiniketan and sacred ensembles of the Hoysals,
Hoysala.
right? These two will be the properties that were included in the UNESCO, okay, World Heritage
And more
List
than
site.
that, when they are asking
Okay.
question from UNESCO, just like that Garba dance, like they are asking like intangible
Yes,
cultural
sir.
heritage. The options what they gave, they are like Garba dance, like they talked about Kumbh Mela,
Hmm.
like like Durga Puja,
हाँ.
like Chau
Hmm.
dance.
Hmm.
All of them, they are so striking and so interesting for us. Just like that here, the options what they have given,
Hmm.
it is
Yes.
right, it's must know.
Hmm.
If a
Exactly.
candidate is not knowing about Shanti Niketan or Rani Ki Vav is like a unique structure. It's like one step well,
Yes, sir.
beautifully constructed. You talk about Hoysala temples,
Mhm.
the star-shaped platform, that from every side they would look so unique in their architecture. You talk about Bodhi temple, all of them, they are super simple. It's not that they're asking anything.
Mhm.
You have to be careful that when you talk about some questions which are easy to moderate, this year UPSC has picked the options and the questions from very popular themes.
Mhm.
It's like that everyone must know about all this. If a candidate is preparing for competitive exam,
Mhm.
all these four here in UNESCO site, and they're the cultural heritage, intangible cultural list, all the four must know areas they are.
Mhm.
And that is why again you can call this as easy to moderate. But the trick is what Saurabh sir said, that you have to read 2023. That is what would make it moderate or difficult.
Mhm.
Because in pressure, it's very difficult to figure out this 2023.
Actually, looking at this question and the questions that we have discussed, okay, again, the strategy of UPSC is the same, that they are doing what? Static.
Yes, sir.
plus current.
Yes, sir.
Okay, they're also touching current portions. Okay, and in current, this time we find the questions that are most popular, right? So obviously these questions will be termed as easy, not difficult. Okay, because Santiniketan and sacred and symbols of the Hoysals, I think that this is in our focus,
Yes, sir.
right?
So many
Focused in our
It has been
compass
compiled.
site.
So many
Compass
things.
focus. Okay. Then
DNS.
DNS, yes,
Rani
sir.
Ki Bav Mahabodhi Temple Complex at Bodh Gaya. Rani Ki Bav in 2014 and Mahabodhi Temple Complex in 2002. So these two also are the popular, you can
Very
say
popular.
that properties. But here the answer will be only two. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
this is totally current affairs based question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I have a question, Sanju, here.
Yes, sir.
That Sanju, when talk about the question number 34, that is on Gautam Buddha.
Yes, sir.
It seems to me that the most favorite character for UPSC is Gautam Buddha.
Gautam Buddha and
Again,
his
asking a
religion,
question on
Buddhism.
Gautam Buddha
Huh.
and Buddhism. No, though the question, what is your take on this?
Sir, the question, I'll say it is moderate.
Hmm. True.
Because I know that Gautam Buddha was referred as Shakyamuni and Tathagata.
Hmm.
But about Nayaputta, I have not read anywhere. Maybe it's mentioned in our sources, but I have not paid much attention to it. And for it, me, it's moderate. And I could have marked option C, but option here is answer here is option B.
It's true that in many books Nyayaputta has not been mentioned, but then trust me, in all the standard books Shakyamuni has been mentioned
Yes,
because
sir.
he was from Sakya tribe.
Yes,
Then Tathagat, very commonly it
very
is known.
common.
Now Nyayaputta, who would get trapped here? The candidates would go for over interpretation over the questions.
Actually,
Yes,
sir, here
sir.
also.
Like when you have not read that something in a standard book,
Huh.
no, don't try to be a historian. You're going to be a bureaucrat.
Yes, sir.
So here, rather than if you just want to avoid a wrong answer here, it's very simple. Do not go for over interpretation.
Exactly.
अगर ये simple है तो इसे simple ही रहने देंगे.
And I would like
Complicate
to
नहीं
add one
करेंगे.
more thing, sir. That how we are using smart skill here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please.
So there, the question is with reference to the ancient India. Gautam Buddha was generally known by which of the following epithets? Nyayaputta, Shakyamuni, and Tathagat. Okay. Now a smart guess. Shakya clan. So Shakyamuni, obviously he will be known. It means that the correct answer will be 2 for sure. So we can eliminate one only, and we can eliminate D. On the basis of very simple information that you know that Buddha belonged to the Shakya clan, you have eliminated two options. Now again, what two options remaining? And this is what UPSC wants.
Again,
Here you will have to
50-50.
take a risk. Now, suppose you don't know more than this.
But
Then also
Tathagat
you
is
are
very common.
but
Ah.
just I am considering
Ah.
that the student don't know this. So he's in a position to take chance on this question
Yes,
because the chances are what? 50-50.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Tathagat is also very common. Okay. So if you are familiar with Tathagat, so
Yes, sir.
3. Now, if correct is 3, then we can
Always.
now not, we are not in a position to eliminate. Okay. These two remains the same. Okay. So 2 and 3. Okay. Now, like Sir said, that if you have read different books, NCERT and everywhere, and if you find these two names, Shakyamuni, Tathagat, okay, Siddharth, right? But you have never found Nyayaput. Okay. So here you can take risk. Okay. If you don't know, you will have to take risk. Clear? So this question, I think that the students must attempt. Okay.
So like
So the
if you
answer
talk
will be
about
D.
R.S. Sharma book, like Tathagat and Sakyamuni, they are so commonly mentioned. Tathagat is the most common. Suppose 3 must be there. D says that none of the above gone.
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes, sir.
one does not have 3
2
gone.
and 3.
You're left with 2 options. And Sakyamuni, R.S. Sharma says, no, again, even if you take that B is the answer, like this time UPSC has put the questions, why I consider them moderate, because just using the NCERT like R.S. Sharma, old or new, anyone, mostly you are in a position to solve most of the questions of history.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Now I have a question from Saurabh sir. Saurabh sir,
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
this question that is talking about the archaeological sites.
Right.
Like
Okay.
some of the sites are easy that we can guess, like
I will
Chandraketugarh
try
and
to-
Inamgaon, but some of the sites are looking very difficult. How to solve this problem?
The solution is that use smart skills. The only solution. Okay. Okay, since we are familiar with this question, we are
Adi.
sitting here, we are comfortable. But for students, only one option is there, using smart skill. Now,
Yes, sir.
the question is, I hope this is question number 35, no?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
series D.
Question number
So the
35.
question is, consider the following information. Now, archaeological site is given, state is given, and description is also given.
Hmm.
So there are not two list of details, there is a three list of details.
Hmm.
Okay, so this makes the nature of the question more difficult.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in 2 it's more simpler, in 3 it's become more
Very
difficult.
difficult.
Now, if you look at this site number 2 in Amgaon,
Hmm.
class 6 NCERT book,
It's classic NCERT.
okay,
Yes, sir.
you will find this na?
Yes, sir.
In Amgaon, in Maharashtra,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And the Kalkolithic site,
Bilkul.
you will find this in class
Yes,
6 NCERT book. Okay,
Hmm.
so don't think about the standard books.
Hmm.
Now it means that you are sure about 2,
Yes.
choice number 2,
Hmm.
for sure.
Yes,
For
sir.
sure.
If you are sure, then come to these choices. The question is asking that which one of the following is correctly matched.
Hmm.
It means 2 is correct. So we can eliminate how much?
Two. Two of them.
This is what you
Two
have
of
to do.
them.
If you have eliminated 2,
Hmm.
it means you are on the right track.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if you have done this successfully in other modules also, so definitely you are going to clear the cutoff. So it does not matter कि question का level क्या है,
Hmm. And
आपका
here,
level
sir,
क्या
I
है.
would add one more
right?
thing, that Chandragetugar from
Yes.
Bengal has already been asked in previous year questions.
Yes, this is a
Okay,
It
sir.
is
part
from
of
Bengal,
PYQ.
and
Yes, sir.
UPSC has already asked a question on
Huh.
that. And if you know that one is not in Odisha, Chandraketugarh is not in Odisha,
Exactly.
it is from Bengal, then you can eliminate A as well. Now you're left with just one single option. That would be 2 and 3. B would become the
Exactly.
answer.
Yes, sir.
Then
It means
becomes
that
super easy.
I talked on the basis of class 6 NCERT. But if you have good command of your PYQs
Previous year
also,
questions.
then you will also find this that Chandraketugarh is not in Odisha, it's in Bengal.
Bengal.
Right? So this
So
is
many terracotta
incorrect.
images they have
Okay.
been found there. That
So
is the
definitely
question
we
that
can do
was
what?
asked.
We can eliminate this also. And when we are eliminating this, obviously the answer will be B. Okay. So
Yes,
on the
sir.
basis of knowledge of class 6 NCERT, we are able to reach at a level where we are eliminating 2 options. If you have good command on PYQs also,
Yes, sir.
we can reach at what is the right answer. Okay, so what is required here? Okay, what UPSC is asking to us.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in the very, you can say that at first glance of analyzing the paper, the students find कि हमें books पढ़नी पड़ेंगी, standard books like Upinder Singh, and that is not going to find the solution. If you are going to read that book, will you be able to retain the information? And
Well,
are you
then
sure
it
that
would
which
consume the
chapter,
time that
which
you have to
chapter,
use for all the
right?
other
All the
GS
subjects.
what
there
will they
be
ask
cramped.
next time? You are not sure, and our mind has certain limitations. Okay, I believe on my limitations, and I think that all should believe.
Yes, sir.
ठीक. Okay, so I think that this will be the right choice to solve the questions.
I have one more question
Sure, sir.
from Sanju.
Yes, sir.
Sanju, it seems that another super favorite personality for UPSC is Krishna Devaraya of
Is-
Vijayanagar.
Yes, sir.
Again, when you see this question that is asking about who among the following rulers of medieval India gave permission to the Portuguese to build a fort at Bhatkal, what is your take at this
Sir,
question?
Krishna Devaraya. Why? Because he is the most famous personality from Vijayanagar Empire, and I believe when the most famous personality, this is my logic or common sense or
Exactly.
anything
It's good.
guesswork, that when very famous personality is mentioned and other personalities are mentioned who are not very famous, and then Saluva, like Narasimha Saluva, he was from the first, like it's he was earlier than, he came earlier than Krishna Devaraya, I guess, if I am right, if I'm not confused.
Okay. Question number 36. This again, I am discussing this on the basis
In
of smart
Portuguese?
skill, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are using smart skill now. Okay. Now the question is, which rulers of the medieval India gave permissions to Portuguese to build port at Bhatkal and all this? Clear? Now simply you will do what? Okay, you will try to recall information. Okay, what are the core keywords here? Highlight these keywords in the paper first. For example, Portuguese. So Portuguese came in India in the year 1498.
Yes.
Which century is this? 15th century. Is it clear? Now, in option we find Krishna Dev Rai. Okay, and Krishna Dev Rai is one of the most famous ruler of Vijayanagar state,
Vijayanagar.
and he ruled Krishna Dev Rai. I hope, sir, 1509 to 1529. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so this is what 16th century, and early half of 16th century.
Hmm.
Portuguese came in 1498. It means
Yeah.
15th century is ending there.
Yes, yeah.
It means that in early half of 16th century, Portuguese are also active,
Yes.
and KDR is ruling Vijayanagar.
Vijayanagar
Okay.
Empire.
Now what about trade and commerce? So obviously the ocean coast of South India will be used.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that might be a possibility that Krishnadev Rai would have given, okay, some, you can say that forts or facilitated the travelers, okay, or you can say that the merchants here in India, because for South India, when we read history, we find that one of the most important source of income for South Indian states, they were very rich, was trade with foreign countries in ancient India. Roman trade was one of the most important trade. So definitely that spirit will be continued. Now, if you look at the second option, Salu. So UPSC has previously asked this question. Okay. Question based on the understanding of the dynasties of Vijayanagar Empire. Salu, Tulu dynasty. Okay, in this way, you will find Aravidu dynasty. This sequence is followed, na?
Yes,
So
sir.
Salu dynasty, okay, in the very beginning.
Yes, sir.
And the establishment of Vijayanagar state is in the 1336. That is 14th century, first half of 14th century. So obviously this is not matching. Then Muhammad Shah III, Yusuf Adil Shah, we can easily eliminate these. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so the right choice will be
Krishnadev
A.
Raya.
Okay, so
Again,
this is
sir,
like reasoning. History is
yes.
something like the reasoning.
Yes, sir.
And a very simple reasoning here is that from South India, the most important kingdom was Vijayanagar.
Vijayanagar.
In Vijayanagar, the most important ruler was Krishnadev Raya. In times of, like when you talk about the Portuguese, when they came to India, we just for GS should know about two governors of the Portuguese. One was Almeida and one was Albuquerque. The most important governor among the Portuguese was Albuquerque. Basically, the fort at Bhatkal was constructed because Albuquerque was given the permission from Krishnadev Raya.
Exactly.
So the
Right.
most important ruler
question has
from
also been
Vijayanagar
asked,
and
sir.
the most
This-
important governor from the Portuguese side. They're asking the most important part again, and that is what makes it like something that we should go for from the standard books.
And there is
Sure, sir.
also one question, 38 number question. I hope sir has discussed this.
Yes, sir.
Parables, Upanishads, you have discussed this, sir?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So let's come to me. I just saw this question, so that is very interesting here. And here we have to find which statement is correct. Again, we are using smart skills. What is the question? Statement number 1. There are no parables in Upanishads. Now, what you have to understand? Meaning of parable. Okay. This you
And
will have
here
to
I
do.
would add one thing,
If-
sir, that if a candidate is not understanding what you mean by parable, Hindi translation dekh lo bacche.
Exactly. So parable. Now, if you find the meaning of parable, it means something that is related to ethical teaching and moral teaching. It's asking about Upanishad. Look at the PYQs. UPSC has asked earlier. Upanishads are the earliest philosophical texts. And what is philosophy? Philosophy is a more refined form of religion. And what is the more refined form of religion? Wherever the ethical and moral discussions and teachings are there. It means that Upanishads holds this teaching. Ethical teaching is a part of Upanishad teaching. Philosophical context like the soul and all this has been discussed here, relation of soul with God and all this. But Upanishads has been asked in UPSC. So they will not ask like the same, no, ki what are Upanishad, the earliest form of
Yes, sir.
the earliest form of philosophies, because this is an exam where you are going to be the civil servant. They will not ask the same. Otherwise, the same will become one day exam. Okay, so they will do some kind of twisting, and the same has been done here. So if you are understanding the concept of Upanishads, you will say that it is incorrect. They are saying that there is no parables. कोई नीति वाली बातें नहीं है, moral बातें नहीं है, right? So this is incorrect. Okay, so one is incorrect. If you have eliminated one, so you have eliminated how much? 2 options you have eliminated. Look here, elimination method is being used here.
Yes,
You
sir.
have eliminated C and D.
Yes, sir.
Again, what is remaining? 2.
Yes.
In every question you are able to eliminate 2. And in every question you are able to use your smart skill. This is the only thing that I want to say. क्योंकि
sir.
बच्चों ने बहुत पढ़ाई की है, right? I know the effort that the
That
students
goes behind
put
this.
in the preparation. Okay, the students are very honest. Lever is there, put a lot of effort. But this I want to promote, that they should be using smart skill. The second statement, Upanishads were composed earlier than the Puranas. This is very famous. Puranas were composed much later.
Much later.
Okay,
It's very
so
common.
this is okay, correct. Okay, so sir has discussed this, and I think that here also we are applying our smart application.
Yes, sir.
Right, Sanju?
Yes, sir. Sir, now the last question is remaining, and it was for me. It was the most difficult question.
Okay.
Question number 14
Question number 14.
in D series. Yeah.
Okay. D series question number 14.
Yes, sir.
it is difficult.
It is difficult.
Okay, it
sir.
is difficult. It is difficult because uh, aspirants, UPSC aspirants are in a different kind of pressure. Okay, तो उतना भी ज़्यादा smart skill वो use नहीं कर पाएंगे. We are able to use it here. Okay, but that much, even if me as a student sitting there, so I will not be able to use that much. Okay, but to some extent we can use here also a smart skill. Now, what is the question? Sanghabhuti, an Indian Buddhist monk. Now, this question has never been asked in UPSC prelims.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is not a PYQ question. Okay, name. This personality is not there. Sanghabhuti, an Indian Buddhist monk who traveled to China at the end of 4th century AD, was the author of commentary on. So the students should first stop. Okay, if the question appears difficult, okay, have a sip of water and should think. What? Sanghabhuti, it's talking about Sanghabhuti, talking about Indian Buddhist monk, talking about China, talking about the end of 4th century AD. 4th century AD means what? Okay, it means that we are talking about which period? Okay, 4th century AD, we are talking about the near to Gupta period, right? Okay, 300 to 550 AD is the Gupta period. And there the promotion of which sect of Buddhism will take place? Obviously not Hinduism. That will not become popular. Mahayan and all this. So in Sri Lanka, it's talking about, no, it's talking about China, right? And now look at the options. This much information we have recalled from what we have read. Okay, now we will read the choice number 1. Pragya Paramita Sutra. You will stop, think, and you will find this question has been asked in UPSC prelims. Pragya Paramita Sutra. Nagarjuna. Okay. Paramitas. This also have been asked. Pragya Paramita Sutra and Paramitas both have been asked. The second, and when they were asked, both these times they have been asked, students have read about the explanations. We have also discussed these topics in the classes, but we have never discussed about Sanghabhuti. So this is a hint. ठीक है कि अगर ये इतना important रहा होता, so we might have discussed in the explanation part, and the books might have discussed in the explanation part. So it has nowhere been discussed. क्योंकि इतना risk लेना पड़ेगा. We are not accurate with our knowledge in the examination hall. So we will eliminate this one, right? Now the second, Vishuddhi Mag. Again, very interesting. Okay, so Vishuddhi Mag is again a Buddhist text, and this is a part of PYQ. This is a popular information. Okay,
This is a
not
popular
very popular,
information.
but I will say this is popular. In state pieces also this have been asked. Okay, multiple times, written by Buddha Ghosh. Right, I will not discuss the nature of the text because it will take a lot of time.
Okay,
And now Lalit Vistar. Look here. This is also, okay, this biography of Buddha. Okay, there are different chapters in this. Okay, and from birth of Buddha till the attainment of his enlightenment and Deer Park where he just delivered his first sermon. वहाँ तक की कहानी इसमें दी गई है, right? So Lalit Vistar has also been asked somewhere, not exactly in UPSC, but you will find this state pieces. Now, what is Sarvastivad Vinay? Okay, so definitely the students are not familiar with it. I think that 95-99% students are not familiar with what is Sarvastivad Vinay.
Yes,
And
sir.
this appears equally difficult for us also.
Yes,
That
sir.
what is Sarvastivad Vinay? Sarvastivadins UPSC has asked.
Yeah, it has
Okay.
already asked.
But this time they are asking about Sarvastivadin Vinay, and the question has become difficult because they are asking that, okay, he was a author on the commentary of this book. So it's not about this book also. It's about the commentary on the book. When we read this book of Upinder Singh, you will find this answer that he is writing that he is the author of this book.
Okay.
But the question is asking commentary on that book. Okay, so this will make the question more difficult. So basically, when we talk about the Vinay text, Vinay texts are the Buddhist text, and these texts are not only confined to any particular sect of Buddhism like Hinduism, Mahayan. These are related to different traditions of Buddhism,
Yes, sir.
right? And these Vinay texts are written in Sanskrit, and not only in Sanskrit, in Chinese also and in Tibet also, right? It means it has been written in Chinese. ठीक है? So who is responsible for this writing? Who has written this? Okay, so in Sanskrit it was written, and then it was later translated
Yes, sir.
in various languages, right? So the answer for this question will be Sarvastivad Vinay, right? And there are other Vinay texts also. There is Sammitiya Vinay, there is Theravada Vinay, there is Dharmguptaka Vinay, there is there are a lot of Vinay texts, okay? More than 8, I think, I hope I remember. But I will say it very frankly, very openly, that the student need not to enter into this much detail.
Yes, sir.
Even UPSC has asked this question in this much detail, you are not going to follow this pattern of study.
Yes, sir.
Because when you'll make your plan, you will make your plan with overall GS paper.
Yes, sir.
It's not only history which is going to help you clearing this prelims.
Sure, sir.
It's also about science and technology, environment, economy, environment and
True it is.
geography and everything. Okay, so you will have to perform average
Yes, sir.
in all the modules,
Yes, sir.
and you will be much above than the cutoff. This is a simple formula. So such questions will appear every year, and you will not have to evaluate yourself on the basis of such questions,
Yes, sir.
and you will not have to make your future plans of study on the basis of these questions.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this has been asked, and you must know about this.
देखिए
Yes,
and
जब
we
इस
will discuss in
क्वेश्चन
detail
को मैंने
in
देखा
discussions
तो
also.
मुझे एक बात पता चली कि अगर कोई भी बच्चा इसे एग्जाम में देखेगा तो उसे रोना आ जाएगा,
Yes, sir.
और अगर कोई बच्चा इसे सॉल्व कर लेगा तो एग्जामिनर को खुशी के कारण रोना आ जाएगा. सच बात यही है. उपिंदर सिंह की किताब जब हमारे पास हो तो उसमें सर्च करके हमें मुझे लगा कि ये सर्च करना हमारे लिए हो सकता है अभी यहाँ पर पर जैसा सर ने बोला,
Yes,
सौरभ
sir.
सर ने बोला कि अगर किसी स्टूडेंट को एक क्वेश्चन मिले, इट्स बेटर टू अवॉइड दिस क्वेश्चन.
Yes, sir.
There are always some questions put by UPSC to make the candidates go for negative marking if they're simply guessing. It is one such question. It's a trap. It's a trap.
Exactly.
In every subject, at least 2 or 3 such questions would be there. Otherwise, the cutoff of UPSC would go 100%. It is one of those questions where the student should avoid it.
Yes, sir.
It would be a trap.
Yes,
And
sir.
truly, it is. Like, rather than solving this question, I would ask you to solve the easier question of other subjects. Maybe geography, maybe economy, maybe other subjects.
Thank
But
you,
as
sir.
a history teacher, I would request you, like, I would like you not to solve this question.
Yes, sir. It's difficult, that's why. Yeah.
But it's a fabulous discussion, Saurabh sir.
Thank you,
Thanks.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Sanju ma'am. It was